Okay, get this. For the first time in over 50 years, we're sending astronauts back to the moon. It's one of the most exciting missions we've seen in decades. But here's the weird part. They're going to fly all the way there. We're talking 400,000 kilometers. And then they're just going to turn around and come home. No landing, no moonwalks. I know, it sounds kind of strange, right?
So yeah, that's the big question, isn't it? Why go to all that trouble? Why fire up the most powerful rocket in history just to do a flyby? It feels like you're skipping the best part. But trust me, there is a brilliant, logical reason behind this. And honestly, it's a reason that's absolutely essential if we ever want to explore space safely.
All right, so here's how we're going to break it all down. First, we'll talk about why this is basically the ultimate test drive. Then we'll dive into the whole, keeping humans alive part. After that, we'll look at a super important piloting test. And finally, we'll see how this isn't even the first time we've done this. It's a page right out of the Apollo playbook. Okay, so let's get right to it. What's NASA's official take? Well, the simple answer is that Artemis II isn't really about going to the moon. It's about testing the ride. Think of it as the most high-stakes test drive in human history. They're making sure the Orion spacecraft, the ship for this whole new generation of explorers, is safe and ready to go. Yep, that's the heart of it all. It's a crewed flight test. I mean, it's the very first time real, live human beings are going to be living and breathing inside this thing out in deep space. It's kind of like this. You wouldn't buy a totally new model of car and without even driving it around the neighborhood, pack your family in and set off on a road trip across the country, right? Of course not. Well, this is that first crucial drive around the block, except the block is, hundreds of thousands of kilometers long and in the vacuum of space. And this all comes down to a fundamental rule in aerospace engineering. It's a simple idea. You never, ever test a bunch of brand new, super complex systems all at once. It's just too risky. You test one new thing at a time, make sure it works perfectly, and only then do you move on to the next. It's all about building on success step by logical step. And you can see that exact logic right here. Artemis I, total success. It proved the big rocket works and that an empty Orion capsule could handle the trip. Awesome. Now, for Artemis II, we're adding the next big variable, the most complicated one of all, people. Once we prove the spacecraft can keep the crew safe, then, and only then, will Artemis III add the next brand new piece of the puzzle, the lunar lander. So let's really dig into that human variable, because honestly, this is the single biggest test on the entire flight. Can the Orion spacecraft do its #1 job? Can it keep 4 astronauts alive, safe, and healthy when they are farther from home than any human has been in half a century? Here's the thing about testing a spacecraft. You can run all the computer simulations you want, but you just can't perfectly simulate a human crew. It's impossible. We're messy. Astronauts breathe, they sweat, they exercise, they generate body heat. All of that stuff puts a real, unpredictable strain on the ship's life support systems in a way a computer model just can't capture. And these are the specific systems that absolutely have to be tested with real people on board. It's called the ECLSS, the Environmental Control and Life Support System. This is the whole shebang. It's got to scrub the carbon dioxide they breathe out, pull all the humidity from their sweat and breath out of the air, provide clean water, and manage all that body heat. And it has to do all of that flawlessly while flying through the intense radiation of deep space, which can mess with even the best electronics. Now, this is where the mission design gets really, really smart. They're flying on what's called a free return trajectory. What does that mean? It means if anything goes catastrophically wrong, like if the life support starts to fail or the main engine just quits, they don't have to do a thing. The moon's gravity will literally grab the spacecraft, whip it around the backside, and just toss it right back toward Earth. No engines required. It is the ultimate safety net. Okay, so making sure the life support works is objective #1. But that's not all. There's another huge piece of this puzzle. Can the crew actually fly this thing by hand? And that brings us to the next major test they're going to run. Get this. Way before they're even pointed at the moon, just after they get into Earth orbit, they're going to do something really cool. They'll separate from the rocket's giant upper stage, and then Commander Reed Wiseman is going to grab the controls and actually fly the Orion capsule manually. He's going to use that big, empty rocket stage floating nearby as a target, flying around it, getting a feel for how the ship handles. It's like taking a new sports car out on a test track for the very first time. And this is so much more than just a little joyride. This is a full-on dress rehearsal for one of the most difficult, nail-biting parts of a real landing mission docking with the lunar lander. You absolutely have to prove you can do that delicate dance right here in our own backyard before you even think about trying it 250,000 miles away from home. Now, I know what you might be thinking. This all sounds maybe a little too cautious. But the thing is, we've done this before. This whole strategy isn't new. In fact, it's based on a powerful lesson from the golden age of spaceflight, the Apollo program. Yeah, seriously, this is literally the same playbook. Just look at the comparison. Back in 1968, the legendary Apollo 8 mission did the exact same thing. It was the first time humans ever left Earth's orbit. They flew to the moon, they circled it 10 times, and they came home. They didn't land. Why? To prove the hardware worked. And that mission is what made the Apollo 11 landing possible. Artemis II is playing that exact same vital role, paving the way for the next landing. It's a proven strategy, you know? This whole fly before you land idea is what makes deep space exploration possible. It's how you build confidence, how you get all the critical data you need, and how you make sure that when it's finally time for that landing, the astronauts are in a machine they know, inside and out, and that they trust with their lives. And that really just nails it, doesn't it? I mean, don't get me wrong, the pictures are going to be absolutely mind-blowing. But Artemis II is not a sightseeing trip. It's a hardcore, high-stakes engineering shakedown. The entire future of the Artemis program is riding on this mission. So there it is, the paradox we started with. It's solved. The reason Artemis II isn't going to land on the moon is precisely so that Artemis III can. It's that simple. By taking this incredibly smart, deliberate step, NASA is making sure that Orion is a tough, reliable, battle-tested machine, a true lifeline for the next people who get to walk on the lunar surface. So, what's the big takeaway here? This mission is all about solving the first, most fundamental problem: how to keep people safe on the way to the moon and back. But proving the spaceship works is really just step one, isn't it? To actually live and work on the moon, wow, that opens up a whole new can of worms. We'll have to figure out how to build habitats, how to deal with that super sharp moon dust, how to generate power. The journey back to the moon is being built one brilliant engineering solution at a time. And Artemis II, it's the next huge, essential piece of that incredible puzzle.